Okay, everybody, this is Emar Substitute, the Sports Inquirer, and thank you for joining us for another edition of Fighting Peaches. We're going to preview or look at the opening of training camp for Georgia Tech basketball, both on the men's and women's side. And we're recording this on October 7th, 2021. As always, to follow everything that we do, head to the mothership to sportsinquirer.net, premier site for news and notes in the world of sports. We cover a lot of college athletics in on the site, including Georgia Tech and volleyball and basketball starting up now since the season is beginning, cross country. Same deal with Georgia State athletics and those particular sports. So make sure you go to the site to check out all of that content. You can also go to our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook under the Sports Inquirer. And then finally, you can follow us on our audio and video host, such as SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and iTunes under the Sports Inquirer. And you do that, and you will see all of our content as it is posted. So, as I mentioned, basketball practice in the collegiate season or collegiate sport has started for many programs, including Georgia Tech. Let's start with the men's side of things. The Yellow Jackets are coming off of a 17-win campaign. They won their first ACC championship since 1993 and made its first appearance in the NCAA tournament since 2011 last season. Here's head coach Josh Pastner on the opening of the training camp.
Year was a great year last year. Really happy for Jose and Moses and their opportunities professionally, and I really like our team this year. I don't know a lot about our team. When I say I don't know a lot about our team, because until we play somebody will I have a better feel. And of course I know our team, but you don't really get a real good feel until you play an opponent and kind of see what's good and what's not, because sometimes when you're playing against each other for so long, you don't know if it's good defense or not good offense or vice versa. So you're just trying to figure it out, and the best way once we can figure that out will be once we get to be able to play an opponent. But excited for this year, excited to have fans back. I know Mr. Stansberry has said, at this point we're moving forward with full fans and full stadium. I don't know which bench will be. If they're going to keep us on the other side, that'll be interesting if that will change or not. But looking forward to the season. We got a really tough schedule, got a tough non-conference schedule, and of course we got the ACC and got a heck of a stretch. And I've said it many times. I think the ACC is the best league in all of college basketball, and it's just going to be a real gauntlet, and plus our non-conference schedule. And we open up against three really tough teams, starting out with Miami, Ohio. They got pretty much their whole team back. They're very good, very well coached. Then you got Coach Donnie Jones and Stetson. They got most of their team back, and then Coach Brooks at Lamar. I mean, there's just those first three games are going to be tough, and we'll have to be really ready to go and be ready to play on those opening first three games.
Now, the Yellow Jackets do welcome back 5 of their top 7 scorers from last season, including ACC MVP from the tournament, Michael DeVoe, senior forward Jordan Usher, Bubba Parson, Khalid Moore, and junior guard Kyle Sudevert. So they returned 5 of their top 7 scorers once again from last year. And Studevant, that's Kyle's last name. I want to make sure I say it correctly. Kyle Studevant. So here is Pastner on the roster and its makeup.
Playing 7 guys that's what I've sort of done. But I do believe this year we're deeper, Rod, and I'll be able to play more guys. And I'll have to figure it out. So I'll have to get comfortable with that, with playing more guys, which this year we'll have that opportunity to do so, just based on depth and things like that. And in that scrimmage, when we scrimmage, in that so-called private scrimmage, I'm going to play everybody. Again, not that you don't want to win, but you're going to play everybody. Instead of maybe playing the scoreboard, you're going to play the guys to play, because you want to give everyone enough time so you have a real opportunity to evaluate, even if there was a run or something not going your way, or if it was a countable game, I would sub somebody out right away. I want to be able to have enough film and be able to get a good feel and have everyone be able to play different combinations. And then I think when we get to Morehouse, we'll have a better understanding and a feel, and maybe get it more, prepared on in preparation for opening games. But we're going to have to play more than we're capable, and we'll be able to play more than what I've normally played just based on talent-wise.
Yeah, so they do return a large amount of talent from last season's squad, and they also get a boost from several newcomers, including a transfer guard from Mississippi State and Devin Smith, and they have a freshman class that was ranked in the top 30 nationally for the in the rankings of the incoming class. Now they do have to replace two elite players from their team last year, starting with Moses Wright, who was the ACC Player of the Year, and Jose Alvarado, who was the ACC Defensive Player of the Year. Both of those men have moved on to professional ranks, and here is Pastner on replacing those two players.
Yeah, Kelly, it's just going to have to be a rotation deal by committee. When you're replacing the ACC Player of the Year, it's not going to be just one guy is going to just step in and do it. So we're going to have to do it through committee, Kelly, and it might not be, it might still be, it could be 12 points, 10 rebounds, but not by one individual. It could be by the entire group. And what I would tell you is Rodney Howard has gotten better. He's improved, feeling more comfortable. I think Saba has really improved and has gotten better. And Jordan Mecca, who didn't play at all last year, or even get a practice because of the injury, is starting to feel a little more comfortable. But for guys like and Jordan Mecca, who haven't really played in any meaningful minutes, it's going to be a work in progress and learning for him. And for Rodney, he's never been counted on to be in the position that he's in. So all three of those guys, it's new for him. And I think all three are going to be really good. And I understand there's going to be some ups and downs with them this year because they've got to get into the flow. That being said, we need them to really start being on all cylinders and clicking by the time we really get to league play. And I understand that. And so there's going to be some ups and downs and some, trial by fire. But when we get to league play, we've got to kind of have that position solidified that, okay, we understand what we got. And it might just be by committee where all three guys just 2 minutes here, 5. Because there hasn't been separation right now. They're kind of bunched, which is not a bad thing. We have multiple guys at that position that can do multiple things. And the number one thing is they've obviously got to play hard and do their part on that part.
Yeah, and we'll do a more in-depth analysis of the schedule and the roster and everything that's going on as they continue to progress through their practice schedule. The women's basketball team for Georgia Tech is also back on the court as they prepare for another season. They also made the NCAA tournament last season. In fact, they made a run into the Sweet 16 for only the second time in program history. The Yellow Jackets returned 10 letter winners, including a starting 5 from last season's squad. Here's head coach Nell Fortner on the opening of training camp.
What we have returning this year, seeing as we've got two very experienced players returning in Lorella Kubai and Kiera Fletcher, also Lodemai Lotnan. These are players that have been with us our entire time here as a staff, and we feel really strongly about what they bring to the table with their experience. But this is a group that's got 3 newcomers that are meshing well right now, and we're looking forward to a year where we can compete at a really high level and give ourselves an opportunity to win at a really high level. And that's how we're preparing every day, and these players are hungry to experience that. So practices so far have been really high energy, and we're getting a lot accomplished.
And similar to the men's team, they return a large amount of their scoring. The top 3 scorers from last season that were all in double figures last year as far as average points per game. Maj Lanin, Kiera Fletcher, and Lorelai Kubash. All of those players were averaged at least 12 points a game last season. They are back on the squad. And Kubash she averaged a double-double last season, leading the ACC in rebounding with 11.5 rebounds per contest. So here is Fortner on the roster and its makeup.
Sure, there's challenges because you've got everybody back, and so you have your starting lineup back, and plus additional players who are pushing to be starters. Or here's Digna, who was a 4-year starter at Syracuse. So sure, but those are good challenges. Those are really really good positive challenges, because to win in the ACC and to win at beyond, in the NCAA tournament, you need depth. We did not have that last year. We have it this year. I feel like we're much further along, primarily because we have the numbers for the depth. We had the experience for the depth, and obviously we've been here all summer, so we're much farther along than we were this time last year.
Yeah, and similar to the men, and maybe even also more than the men, we have to see how things break down when we go over the rosters, look at the rest of the conferences, and really the national picture. But expectations are high for the Yellow Jackets as far as making another long run in the postseason. Here is Coach Fortner on those expectations and how the team is handling them.
Yeah, the expectations are high. We want to be better and finish better than we did last year. So we finished third in the ACC last year, made it to the Sweet 16 last year. We want to do better than that. So that's obvious then what that would look like. We don't harp on it. We don't, we're not sitting around talking about that all the time. It's about the work you do every day to try to make that happen for this team. And it entails a lot of things. Each individual player working to get better, the team working to get better, chemistry, just that's the path we're going down, towards. That's what we want to do. And so we focus our practices, our expectations are that every day of champions. Our effort is that every day of champions. That's how we approach it.
Yeah, so both teams, as I've mentioned, made the NCAA tournament last season. They return a large amount of talent, and it'll be very interesting to see how it progresses through these next few weeks as they prepare for their regular season openers. And that concludes this edition of Fighting Peaches on Georgia Tech basketball. As always, to follow everything that we do, go to the mothership, to sportsinquirer.net, premier site for news and notes in the world of sports. You can also go to our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook under the Sports Inquirer. And finally, subscribe to us on YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and iTunes under the Sports Inquirer. Until next time, good fight, good night, and be safe.